It's very possible that if you've had an Android phone, or if you happen to be a customer of Comcast, or both, this video might actually pay for itself. That is, you might actually be able to claim some money because there's some stuff going on right now that you may not be aware of. I'm also going to tell you about how you may have also missed out on $7,000 worth of claims just a couple of months ago. It's videos like this that you need to be paying attention to because these companies are being sued and losing and trying to pay you, but they're not super obvious about how to get paid. So first off, we're going to talk about Google and why they may owe you some money. So this is kind of fresh news. Android users could get money under the $135 million Google settlement. So let's talk a little bit about this. Millions of Android users could be eligible for a payment under the $135 million class action settlement over allegations that Google's operating system caused mobile devices to send data without users' permission. This is actually really important because a lot of times people who watch YouTube understand that our phones are constantly transmitting data all the time, no matter what's happening. But most people don't, and they're not agreeing to it. So let's read exactly what happened. People who use an Android mobile device to connect to the internet over a cellular network from 2017, which by the way was me, I was still on an Android phone back then, to present could qualify for the payment. The lawsuit filed in 2020, remember those days, acknowledged that Google's Android platform transferred data without device owners' knowledge. Data was allegedly transmitted even when devices were idle, including when they were not in use and when all apps are closed, eating up people's cellular data, which, back in 2017, 2018, you might have had a plan that still had like a data limit or something, and that was eating up data without you even knowing. And that could be anything. It could be things from like the GPS, like Google Maps or something like that. And again, we know this, but I think what's really important about videos like this is to let people know that there are a ton of people who have no idea this is going on, let alone that they could be getting paid because this happened. So let's read more. Google effectively forces these users to subsidize the surveillance by secretly programming Android devices to constantly transmit user information to Google in real time. I can think of one thing right here, like Google Maps, like where you are. It's got to do that all the time. Otherwise, how's it going to know where you or your device is? And I think most of us kind of know that. But again, the common person doesn't know that. Thus appropriating valuable cellular data users have purchased. And again, this might be at a time when not everyone had unlimited data. So how do you get the payment? All qualifying Android users who don't opt out of the settlement, which means you actually have to opt out to not get paid. I don't know why you would do that. Will receive a payment according to the settlement site. Users should receive a personalized notice in mail or by email. So that's the thing. And here's what I think is kind of funny because this is being covered a lot of different places. Seeing that same thing, how to get paid. And what's happening is they are sending out notices, but there's also a website I'm going to show you right here, the official settlement website. But here's what typically happens. They send you an email that gets caught by spam. So let's look at Reddit here. Check your spam folders, people. Gmail had it listed as spam. And of course it would, because the website's kind of weird. It's federalcellularaction.com. It looks like a spam piece of email. So in fairness to Google, this feels like, the spam guard actually working correctly. But if you put on your conspiracy hat, it's interesting that the company that's getting sued, Google, had it be thrown into the spam so you would never see it. It's like, just like you said, even the payment response email went to spam. And it's like, if I hadn't seen this thread, I would have automatically deleted it and I would have never known. And this is really interesting because if you're a conspiracy theorist, Google actually benefits from doing that. Not as many people, A, know about it, so they don't get as much bad press, and B, get paid out. The subject line would be something like this. So check your spam email to see if you've gotten this email recently, as of the posting of this video, at least anyway. So there's a lot of information here. You can check out the Reddit thread. I just think it's interesting that people actually got it and it was in their spam folders. They would have never known about it otherwise. And listen, 135 million, what does that mean for you? How much you're going to get? It really depends on how many people sign up. And that's something that is the case for a lot of things like this, where the more people that sign up, the less money you'll get. But think of it this way. You didn't know about this, or some of you didn't know about this before you started watching this video. Even if it's $20 and you got paid $20 to watch a YouTube video, that sounds like a win to me. So regardless of how much it is, doesn't matter how much it is, this is something maybe you should take into consideration. And this is like what the website looks like. It almost looked like someone just went to ChatGPT and put it together. It's not super fancy, but it doesn't have to be because this is the actual like legal website. It's the Federal Cellular ClassAction.com website, and it tells you all the different deadlines and everything, and what you can expect. If you do nothing, you will still be bound by the court's decision, and you will give up your right to separately sue Google in the lawsuit. You will still be issued a payment from the settlement. If you do not select a payment, settle a payment, though, you may not receive it. So it's interesting that even if you don't opt out, you still could get paid, but you need to tell them how you'd want to get paid. You don't actually have to do anything. If you want to exclude yourself, you can do that. But you won't be paid from the settlement. But they're saying basically you could sue Google. But I'm gonna tell you right now, unless you got a lot of money or you are a lawyer yourself, you're probably not gonna want to do that. That's a lot of money. I would just go in here and select a payment method and put in your stuff. But the thing is, you will need your full notice as it is on your personalized notice, which is an email or a letter they may have mailed you. And you got to check your spam. This is a thing that, like I said, if you look back on Reddit, these things went to a lot of people's spam. So look for this subject, something like this, or email from here. Check all your accounts. This guy said, I went through several of my personal and G Suite, and I came through a G Suite account, might not my personal account. So I've got to check all the different email addresses I have because I did have an Android phone during this time. Again, don't know how much you're going to get, but the fact that you can get something for doing almost nothing but checking your email and then of course just filling this out, pretty crazy. This is not the first time something like this has happened, though. It happens all the time. Now, this was because Google did something without your knowledge. This next one, which has already happened, is because of data breaches, which will bring us to Comcast here in a minute. I just want to show some historical stuff. AT&T's proposed $177 million class action settlement over two 2024 data incidences allows eligible claimants to seek up to $5,000 for documented losses tied to the first incident, up to $2,500 documented losses for the second. $7,500 potentially. Of course, you have to have documented incidences and everything, but for $7,000, I'm going to dig through everything I can to get that. I think it's super important to be checking your email because these emails go out all the time. For every time you see a breach happen in the news, which happens practically every month, there's a lot of settlements that happen at the same time. Imagine missing this email and being eligible. It's too late now. Like, just to be clear, it's too late. You would have had to have done this at the end of last year. But what happened was there were compromised accounts. Reporting on the first incident said the leaked data included sensitive information such as social security numbers, along with password codes and contact details, affecting 7.6 million people. And that was current customers, 65 million former customers. So if you were a former customer, you got caught up into this. They shouldn't even be holding on to your information. That's the thing that's really, really ridiculous. And it's like the disclosure says the second incident contained files of customer call and text interactions. Look, they got hacked like 2 or 3 times. And what's interesting is, so they're saying how the attack worked. The first incident, AT&T framed the event as the appearance of AT&T specific fields inside a larger data set on the dark web, roughly 2 weeks before before March in 2024. For the second incident, AT&T told investors that threat actors accessed the cloud workspace and exfiltrated files during 2024. And I also want you to know that they had been hacked a couple times in 2019 and I think like 2021 or something. This is not the first time. This has happened a lot. But the settlement was last year. So if you've been paying attention to your email, up to $7,500. Now, would you have gotten $7,500? Probably not, but that's the upper echelon. A lot of these will have an upper echelon of how much money you can make. That's a big one. And there was a lot of information around here. People telling you how to sign up and get that stuff. But again, this is something that already happened. But if you are a Comcast customer and you're watching this video anytime soon, you might be able to make a claim. And I actually just made a claim for this just before we recorded this. Comcast is paying up to $10,000 to people affected by the data breach. Here's how to claim your source. Up to $10,000? Brother, if you watch my YouTube video and you get $10,000, I'd like you to hit that subscribe and hit that like button and let me know all about it because I would like some of that, please. Thank you. So let's take a look. Comcast is finally gearing up to pay for that 2023 hack that leaked sensitive customer information. Comcast disclosed in December of 2023 that hackers accessed account usernames and passwords, as well as names, contact information, dates of birth, security questions, partial social security number. I mean, just everything, basically. And they took advantage of a vulnerability in the software they use for cloud computing. So That's terrible. I mean, obviously, if you're watching this video, I can practically guarantee that your identity has been stolen, but this is a terrible one. And it says that it basically, a class action lawsuit was filed against Comcast on behalf of 36 million Xfinity customers. I'm one of them. That sought damages related to time and money spent for people to protect their identities after the leak. Now, I actually have software that I use for that. I have a program that I use to protect my identity, and this one is interesting because it says up to $10,000, but the reality is actually something substantially lower. However, like I said, for any of the things in this video, if you make $20, that means you made $20 watching a YouTube video. That's pretty damn good. So here's how to determine your eligibility. Only customers whose data was compromised can claim payment. Eligible customers have to live in the U.S. or its territories and have used Comcast services during the time of the hack, which stretched for about 3 days in October of 2023. Customers would have to have received communication from Comcast that their personal data was acquired by bad actors, as well as a class member ID. If you didn't receive a notice or misplaced it, you can search the settlement website, which is what I did because I don't remember if I got this. I was able to search based on my email and everything, and boom, it gave me the class member ID. Now, here's the thing about this. The reality of how much money you're going to make, which by the way is more than zero, depends on what you're willing to do. So let's look at this first page. So here's like the document about this. There's like 3 different ways that you can get money for this. First of all, you can file the claim. They're going to provide enrollment codes for identity services, which is really good. You should take advantage of that. You can exclude yourself from the settlement, which usually means you're going to sue them, or you can do nothing. And then you'll retain the settlement member and give up your right to sue, because that's what basically Comcast wants. Is they want you to take the money so you can't sue them individually. If you have the ability to sue them individually, you might make a lot of money, but probably not. And most of us don't have the money to do that. So you're most likely going to sign up for the payment. So let me show you exactly what I mean by depending on what you want to do, it depends on how much money you'll get. And I'll tell you which one I did. Okay, so here's the claim. It's on that page. You just click to it and it tells you the different options that you have. So the first one is out-of-pocket losses. If you can show and have fairly traceable ways of determining what your out-of-pocket losses were, they'll pay you back. But it says and lost time. So out-of-pocket losses and lost time. So in other words, you paid for something. And we'll talk about what that means here in a minute, and how much lost time. So they may submit a claim for verifiable unreimbursed costs or expenditures that actually incurred and are reasonably believe are fairly traceable to the data breach. Also, they also may submit a claim for time spent remedying the fraud, identity theft, or other misuse of their personal information. So if someone stole your credit card information and you had to spend a whole bunch of time fixing that, they'll pay you back for that. And here's what the rate is: $30 per hour for up to 5 hours. So that's like $150 in 15-minute increments. So if it was an hour and a half, they're only going to pay you an hour and a half. If it was, an hour and 35 minutes, they're only going to pay you for an hour and a half. So every 15-minute increments. If lost time is related to out-of-pocket losses, it must be supported by a certification for up to 5 hours with a self-certified explanation. So this is a lot of explanation and proof. And the problem with this is if you do this and they deny you, then I don't think you get anything. So you kind of have to commit to something here, knowing that you paid for something out of pocket and you had lost time in relation to this breach. If you're watching this video and you didn't know about this in the first place, this probably does not apply to you. Here's the alternative, and this is what I did. As an alternative to making claim for out-of-pocket losses and lost time, settlement class members may request an alternate cash payment estimated to up to $50, subject to prorated adjustment. I mean, listen, $50 for free for doing nothing but filling out? Hell yeah. Cash settlements are subject to an aggregate claims cap of $10,000, regardless of the number of claims submitted by all these people in the claim period. So, and then of course you can get free identification defense services, which I would actually recommend getting this, if for no other reason, just to have it. It's really great to have. But the reality is like $50 just for filling out a form. I mean, it's not a guaranteed $50. It says up to $50. But like I said before, if it's even $20 and you got it from watching my YouTube video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and watch some more of my videos, because that means I'm paying you to watch them. It's crazy. If that sounds good to you, why don't you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. And of course, I got another video for you right here. And I hope to see y'all in the next one.